take a split.
Okay, so here's our second battle against the AIx. So as you can see here, the AIx is building much, much faster than we are.
This is a direct side-by-side comparison of TheDougem frantically building his base as fast as he possibly can. This is pretty good for me. I did really well this match. What I'm doing is, balancing my power and mass so that they're even, and I'm sending out my engineers to gather a couple of destroyed amphibious ships that are sitting on the beaches to my north and south, because this map starts off with a couple of those there, so that's free mass, and I use that to upgrade my mass extractors to Tech 2, and that's a big boosted mass, so I use that to get an early boost. And you can see my score started to go a little insane.
All of our scores are doing well this map because we're all using those strategies, but at the same time, the AI is still 50% ahead of us at this point, and will probably remain that way for a lot of the game, because they build twice as fast as we do.
There goes another tank rush.
Okay, we've got a tank rush coming up, but we don't get to see that.
It was not near as successful as the first matches, sadly.
Yeah, you guys will notice that we're not able to mount effective offenses early on because it just costs way too much in terms of resources and for comparatively little game.
The AI has very good defenses in the early game, just because they are able to build so many units compared to what we can do.
Yeah, and they're able to harass early attack squads with bombers and fighters, which is really hard to oppose when you just have Tech 1.
So here, Dougem's building a fire base north of his base. We all have a couple of extra mass extractors sort of outlying our base, and it's very important for us to take those. So as you can see, he's building shield generators around there, and also a heavy layer of artillery, I believe, is what's queued up there.
Exactly. I'm building up a lot of artillery, tactical missile defense, and actual tactical missile launchers because I'm taking a page from the computer's book. Those things are used to great effectiveness by the AI, so I decided to do it myself.
Oh, here's where my northern fire base just got pounded. I had no idea what was out in the ocean there. I couldn't see any of that.
Yeah,
and it turns out it was swarms and swarms of Tech 2 destroyers, which can just launch thousands of tactical missiles.
So vonGreyson tried to do a little tank rush to take those out, but they only got about halfway up his coast. The AI actually has some naval bases directly north and south of him, and so that's what he's focusing on right now. But the bases are pretty tough, so let's see here.
It didn't help when he had Tech 2 ships all over the place.
Yeah.
Yay, I sunk one!
Yeah, UEF Tech 2 hover tanks are actually pretty effective to try to take out navies, but they just get overwhelmed by Tech 2 and Tech 3 units. And here you can see me lobbing a few tactical missile waves. And also, I'm trying to push out a Fat Boy early, because those things are perfect defensive units if you can get them shielded up. Unfortunately, I run into some distractions. You see my shields go poof! I'm like, what? And 3 strategic bomber hits killed it after I'd been working on it for 5 minutes. So I was a little angry. So you can see I'm like, you know what? Fuck the world, and I just start turning out shields like a madman.
That's what vonGreyson and Debacle have to do here, because again, they're essentially being tanks for me, where I'm providing the firepower, and they're shielding me from most of the attacks. So they're vonGreyson's.
This is what I was dealing with the entire game. It's just that many. All of those white streaks are tactical missiles. Every single one of them is a tactical missile. And I had that happening to my base the entire match. Finally, I got enough shields up, but you can just see the ridiculous amount of firepower they had against me.
Well, you can see the tactical missile defense he has up there is actually taking most of them down, but occasionally one will get through, and even one of those things can take down a shield, because they're just that powerful.
The shields are strong, but the structures themselves are hopelessly weak.
The other problem I ran into is, I don't know if it's out there yet, but he started pumping out Tech 3 battleships, and those shoot out giant battleship guns, which do more damage than a tactical missile, but there's no defense against them, other than just layering hundreds of shields.
Here's the AI's base. They're both building experimentals. The experimental in the top left right there is a bomber, which, as you can see...
just finished.
Most of those targeted...
And it's named Breath. Yes, I spent pretty much the entire game swatting down strategic bombers. I was really mad after the last match, so I decided that I was going to configure my base to be a nightmare to fly over. And anything that gets close, you can see it gets shot down almost instantly by a huge volley of missiles.
You can still see all of the little yellow dots flying into my base, with a comparatively small amount of yellow dots flying out of it. What is flying out is artillery shots at this point. I just started layering up wall after wall of artillery to try and deal with all the naval units, because my Tech 3 point defense wouldn't reach around the mountain to shoot him.
Here I've got air units trying to take out his navy. He's got a naval base south of vonGreyson. So one of my goals is to take it out so that it'll protect my naval base, which I'm trying to build up.
Now, I've just swatted down one strategic bomber, experimental bomber, and now I'm attacking my second. This is about the point where I start to realize that I was becoming a target of yellow.
And so he has tons and tons of Tech 3 air defense sitting in his base, because that experimental bomber can just wipe out his shields if he lets it.
And you can see that it almost destroyed my entire fire base. And this is where I start shifting my defensive strategy a little bit. And later on, I'll start getting more overboard, which you'll see, I'm sure. And here is another bout of rage. I'm trying to send a assault force at red, and it doesn't last very long.
Those are actually my gunships there. DougEm's land units in blue don't actually make it to his base.
Well, they made it, but then they got
destroyed. The fight on my coast, though, because now I'm actually making headway against his ships, because Slaguth took out most of the heavy guns.
Yes, and there's Apothos, my fat boy that I actually managed to finish, trying to engage naval units, but then I realized that he probably shouldn't, because they would lob tactical missiles at it. Apothos moves really slow.
So here I am in the process of moving a miniature army of land units over to DougEm's base. They pretty much just sit there for most of the match, but eventually I use them for a land assault. You can see that there are land...
Oh yes, this is the bane of hard point defenses. It's a... what's the name of the aliens again?
Seraphim.
It's a unit that basically tromps on over, and then when it dies, it produces a static cloud that basically annihilates everything in its immediate vicinity. So you can kill it, but then it essentially destroys everything around it. And you'll see that a giant battery of shields and power plants that took forever to build just got wiped out.
There's another...
and also an experimental building that he had right there.
Yes, I built a satellite control tower,
Here's
and it got nuked.
A land assault and a combined land and air assault that I've got going for red. I'm looking for his commander, and I think
you're chasing him.
I'm chasing him. He's under
shields.
Every
shield.
He's almost dead. As we would have probably all lived if I had managed to kill him there.
Note that this is almost an hour into the match.
And another experimental is in front of vonGreyson. I took it down, but the static charge started wiping up. Oh, and here comes the second one. Hooray. These things are awful. The static charge was destroying my point defense on the front side there.
And Yellow's essentially building one of those every 30 seconds or minute, and just walking it straight down into vonGreyson's
But you can see the coastline is completely clear. I managed to finally build up enough defenses to stop everything from moving down the coast.
Now, Red is also UEF, and he's using his Fat Boy to rape my northern base. And you'll see that Fat Boy is being used in its most effective role, standoff fire support, and it is an incredible unit. You'll see that I pinged it earlier to point it out to my allies. And I wait for it to get closer and closer. You'll see my base has a lot more squares in it. That's me layering Tech 3 defense in my base, and I'm trying to lure the Fat Boy into tactical missile range, because that is the bane of Fat Boys. If you pound at least 10 tactical missiles into it, it's dead.
And there are now 2 dead walkers in my base, and at this point things are just starting to get nasty for my defenses. He was just walking through my shields like nothing.
He probably also has artillery or tactical missiles at this point.
And you have like 3 battleships shelling you. Oh, you killed one.
Yeah, so now we can finally start to see those battleships, but there's still really pounding vonGreyson out in that harbor.
Yeah, the problem is Tech 3 battleships have so much health that even with a constant barrage of artillery fire, it still takes forever to kill them. And you can't shoot tactical missiles at them because they have tactical missile defense. Huzzah! They're way better than anything that was in my base.
Yeah, UEF Navy sucks. We don't have ships like that. We only have one ship.
Well, I didn't even have a navy. There was no point. I couldn't support it in this situation. All I could hope for was that my artillery did the job, and for the most part it was. But as you'll soon see, I got overwhelmed by all the silly little walkers that would come in and die on my base.
See, I'm trying to take the middle here. I've got 2 experimentals there, but they're taking tons and tons of tactical missiles.
Oh, yeah.
So there's not much point to me having them there.